Hey folks, welcome to another edition of Fitness Friday Posi-TIPS with Rachelle, where it's always great to be here with you on another Fitness Friday, the best day of the week. Gotta love it, gotta love it, gotta love it. Folks, last time, highlighted the value of storytelling. We all have stories. The coronavirus pandemic has certainly changed our stories in innumerable ways, right? Whether it's we're talking about our fitness journey that has changed, professional changes, personal changes, relational changes, all of that, societal changes. So much has changed, and certainly for the last 15 plus months, you've watched my own fitness journey. You've certainly watched that change as well. And I know that my official mask removal date is on June 25th here, and so guess what? Mask for me, mask wearing has not been in working out while working out. I would have thought before, like, man, my workouts are cardio intensive. It's going to be hard wearing a mask when I'm working out. And with all due respect to people who feel that way, and I understand, but what I want to do is make a point of clarification and show a little humility here to say, it hasn't been a problem for me. Why? Because I've been in a gym, Edge Fitness, that has strong temperature control. And I realize how fortunate I have been. I have been very, very fortunate. Where from the first time I worked out here to, I have been very, very fortunate where wearing a mask has not been a problem. So when I look back on, this Rachelle's fitness journey and how the coronavirus pandemic changed that within the context of working out in a gym and having to wear a mask, and it will always be crystallized in March of 2021, in this particular moment where I was on the Octane LX. It's a lateral trainer, one of my favorite machines. And I experienced what I call a dual airflow moment that can only be captured by the theme song, my theme song for that moment, What a Feeling. And so if you're not a fan of Flashdance from the 80s, I challenge you. There may be some millennials watching this thinking, like, what is she talking about? I've never heard that song before. Flashdance, What a Feeling, because I was on the Octane LX and I experienced dual airflow, like I said. So that machine has I've been to Octane LX's in different locations, other gyms that have not had fans. So it's a real treat, and I talked about this on a Fitness Friday a few weeks ago. It's a real treat that machine has a fan. So the fan is actually below me, so it's coming up from this angle. So again, I have my mask on, so this airflow was coming from the machine, the fan coming this way. And so the air circulation, nice cool air circulation, was hitting my head. So I was experiencing airflow this way and a nice cool airflow on this, part of my face. So folks, it was great. And I'll never forget that moment, because I remember thinking to myself, what a feeling. And that song came into my head, and I ultimately added it to one of my Amazon playlists. But so that's how my mask wearing in 2021 is going to be remembered for me personally for years down the road. I was in a good situation. And I've been a member, certainly, of gyms, hot gyms in the past, and I know what a challenge that could be if I were in that type of situation. So I do want to clarify that, yeah, it hasn't been a problem. I've had a positive attitude, and I'm glad, I hung on in there and did the right thing, continued to do the right thing when I needed to, and honored and respected the rules set forth by Edge Fitness and the CDC, those guidelines, because it hasn't been a problem, but I have been fortunate. So, folks, and also, last time I talked a bit about Miami, and how, living in Florida, I was broker than broke. Now this was actually when this is a photo album. So you see Miami, Florida, I got a postcard on it. So I have all these pictures from when I did my summer internship. So I did 2 summer internships actually in Miami, and then moved back after graduation for graduate school. And so, but one thing I wanted to quickly point out here before I move on into sales process is at the back of it, oh my gosh, this made me smile so much. So there's a 2-week pass for Valley Total Fitness when I was an intern, when I moved there to be an intern. And I was, oh my goodness. And so it's a business card. Drew Giba, he was a program director. Kendall 3 location, so their 3rd location in Kendall, which is a suburb of Miami. So 8851 Southwest 107th Avenue, Miami, Florida 33176. And it's funny because on the bottom of the card it says good for 1 free visit, but they sweetened up the deal, and I got 2 weeks, it was a 2-week pass. And so things were, from a financial perspective, were certainly a little better when I was an intern there. One internship was paid, the other one was unpaid, but when I moved back for graduate school, and I told you last week, I was broker than broke and actually could not even afford a gym membership. So I worked out at our campus fitness center on weekends and during the week, walked around campus for exercise, did laps around the campus for exercise. So, ooh, my fitness journey, folks, I've got some stories. Boy, we've all got stories. We've all got stories on our fitness journey. And so, folks, want to move on in here to highlight a few points here on the sales process, So I've decided I'm actually going to divide this episode into two. So sales process today. Next time, I'm going to talk more a little bit about the mechanics of selling and highlight a couple of other things to close this series out. But it is so important for us to recognize that sales, there's a process. There's a process to sales. And the reason why, I don't care what category, what industry you were talking about, people have been burned by salespeople. People have been burned in innumerable ways. And so, and I've talked about this before a few weeks ago, we talked about sales ethics and sales culture. So depending on how a salesperson is compensated, whether it's salary plus commission, commission only, hourly plus commission, there's various ways that salespeople are compensated. But if someone is commission only, where their ability to feed their family and pay their bills is contingent upon them selling something, it's a rough road. It is a rough road. And so what we've all experienced, regardless of whether somebody is selling a car, whether someone is trying to sell a house, whether someone is trying to sell with anything, just this aspect and this whole notion of sales pressure. Now, the salesperson, him or herself, can certainly, often, because they're sales quotas, they're sales goals. And so contingent can often be, employment can be contingent upon what those sales goals are and that salesperson meeting or exceeding those sales goals. Not meeting can often mean that person will lose his or her job. So this whole notion of salesperson, so this is sales pressure. So the salesperson, him or herself, can experience that. And the potential customer can also experience that. And so the sales pressure, where the person feels like they've got to sell whatever it is today. They've got to get this person to sign up for a gym membership today, just to take it down a level to the fitness industry. And there have been innumerable complaints, folks, innumerable complaints. And certainly something that I did from a research perspective, 2017 to 2019, did a lot of research, opinion research, perception research in the fitness industry around this whole notion of sales. Gym member signups to cancellations and all of that. So I have read innumerable online reviews, Google reviews, Yahoo reviews, Ripoff Report, Consumer Affairs, Better Business Bureaus, just so many different resources at fitness facilities across the country. And that's how when I made this statement on sales ethics and culture a few weeks ago, that this industry, the fitness industry, has been dogged by this notion of people feeling like they were manipulated into signing up. Gym memberships are a scam. They feel cheated. They can't cancel memberships. So the sign-up process has been plagued with problems in many instances, as well as the cancellation process. But it is so important for us all to recognize that there is a process to sales. There is a process. Now, folks, this could be a 3-day workshop that I can break all of this down. So I just want to make a few points here just to highlight, just to provide some insight on how we all need to understand that sales is a process. And so it's often a process that works in tandem with marketing. So marketing efforts, advertising, direct mail, online, mobile marketing, that's just some examples. All right, often leads a potential customer, generates the brand awareness, all of this and that. And then all of a sudden, the potential customer, potential gym member is interacting with a salesperson, an account manager, or if you're at a Planet which doesn't have salespeople, walking into the club, the marketing efforts that they may have seen a Planet ad on TV that's causing brand awareness, taking them through that process. They're walking inside the club, foot traffic, walking inside the club, inquiring about a membership, and in that case, hearing the tour script as they're walked around or led around different parts of the club. But for sales-oriented cultures, it is so important, and I want to start off with this. Dealing with a prospect, someone who hasn't signed up yet, Perhaps they know something about your club, perhaps they know nothing about fitness. They know nothing about gyms or studios, whatever the case may be. It's so important to know where that prospect, someone who's not yet a member is a prospect. Where do they fall? Where are they in their fitness journey? Do they even have a past? Are they brand new? So we, just for sake of simplicity and time, we want to look at beginner, intermediate, and advanced. All right, I can break this down to subsegments and certainly into each, but don't have time to do all of that. Wanted to keep this simple in the interest of time, like I said. So is the person walking through the door, calling you on the phone, are they a beginner? Are they intermediate? Are they advanced? Because once you know that information, you can tailor the conversation accordingly. Why? Because you don't want to speak to a beginner the same way you speak to someone that is advanced. Now, will certain amenities, club amenities, appeal to both segments? Absolutely. But at least you won't be making statements that someone has worked out for 18 years as in someone who this is the first time they are considering working out in their lives. All right, you just always, regardless of what a person is selling, you always want to tailor your message accordingly based on where that prospect is. Do they know anything of somebody? Are they a first-time home buyer, for example, or is this someone that has owned 7 homes in their lifetime? All right, that may be more familiar with the process. It is always more important to, instead of just going on, this is kind of spitting out this spiel and not allowing the other person to have get a word in edgewise. It is far more important to ask questions, learn where they are, learn what their needs are, what are they looking for. All right, someone is a beginner, they may not have a clue what they're looking for in a fitness facility in terms of knowing what's important. And that's why it is so important in a sales conversation to draw that out. What is most important to you? What are your goals? What have you tried any type of fitness activities in the past? Have you belonged to any type of facilities in the past? That will tell you a lot. You'll be able to tailor your message. But also from a competitive strategy standpoint, you get them talking, and if they've been a member of the gym down the street and you're familiar with the gym down the street, which is why I always say you want to know your competitors, you want to know their strengths, you want to know their weaknesses. You want to be familiar, because that way when a person comes in and says, I'm a member of that gym, or I'm a member of that gym and I'm thinking about leaving, you can respectfully, yes, and I use that word respectfully, you can respectfully talk to them and tell them about what your facility has to offer, your strengths in terms of what the other facilities, weaknesses may be. How can you compensate for those weaknesses they've been experiencing with the strengths of your facility? We want to do it respectfully. You don't want to badmouth a facility, or that just shows just poor taste. That's just tacky. And that just can often reflect, somebody's always disparaging other people all the time, and they don't have anything good to say or any balance. That can often reflect poor character. We always want to be people of integrity, of credibility, of high character, folks. So respectfully acknowledge what that person is saying, and talk about the strengths of your facility. Talk about what you have to offer. Now, if somebody's a beginner, and that's why I say it is so important to know where they are, even if you're talking to someone, a prospect over the phone. Right, you find out that person is a beginner, they're in this particular category, intermediate as well. Okay, the potential in terms of market potential, sales potential for personal training, for upgrades and all of that is definitely there. All right, somebody who's never stepped foot inside a facility before, never been a member of a gym before, doesn't know how to use the equipment. All right, many facilities, yes, offer that the one-time kind of an orientation. You can work out with a trainer and deal with that. But if someone, like an entity like Planet Fitness, they don't sell personal training. Okay, they have free fitness training. They also have a DYOP, design your own program, that a trainer will set up a training program with an individual, will design a program for them all for free. And so that's all important. Okay, that's an outlier situation where that is free, that service is offered for free. But for other entities, certainly in the fitness industry, there is a sales opportunity. And I talked about this, 2018 or 2019 on a Fitness Friday episode, where I stated an article that I cited at the time that 20 to 40% of a facility's bottom line revenue, right, can be generated by personal training. Personal training, that is a revenue generating center of facilities. So it's so important to know where the opportunities are in terms of signing people up and generating interest in personal training. Now the advanced category, again, so one thing you also have to remember to bring balance to this conversation, and we know there's a lot of this that occurs in the fitness industry. Now, your beginners are certainly ones, and that's in a very large market segment. People that never worked out, that's a very, very large segment. We've got, and I've stated this before, cited this, Centers for Disease Control state that 2/3 of adults in this country are overweight or obese. All right, so we've got a large market segment there in terms of people that could potentially join gyms. And so, very large market potential. But yes, so you've got the advanced exercisers, exercising, a while, know their thing, but yes, there are sales opportunities certainly there for them too. But you could sell them, membership upgrades. You could sell ancillary items such as apparel and other type of things to this particular category. Upgrades in terms of you'll be able to do this. If you pay this extra, if you get this top membership tier, for example. Whereas yes, it's certainly going to exist here, but you can always kind of look at these people and say, oh well, they are set in their ways. There's no real opportunity there. But yes, these are the people that are going to show up. That are going to be there, whether they're working out at home, and that's kind of been the challenge of the coronavirus pandemic, working out at home on their own equipment. But these are the people where fitness is a lifestyle. And that's one thing, the Rachelleism that I came up with years ago that I often stated on Fitness Fridays is fitness. And to succeed in fitness needs to be a lifestyle and not an event. So event is, I need to lose 20 pounds for my class reunion. My doctor says I need to lose 75 pounds for knee surgery. Those are events. But your lifestyle exercisers, these are people that are going to be showing up, that are going to be causing wear and tear on your equipment. So just hypothetically speaking, no one does this, but just say a fitness entity said, we only want to target advanced exercisers because these are the people, this is stability in terms of your revenue. These are the people that are going to be keeping their gym memberships. Like I said, there's been some churn because of the pandemic and people having now home workout stuff and home workout equipment and home gyms now who may not have otherwise. But these are the people that are working out. Not working out is not an option. So these are people that are showing up, causing wear and tear, this and that, versus you will find many in this category. I've talked about this a number of times over the years and how many people just in this country overall, research has shown, sign up for a gym membership and never show up at all, just continue paying, or show up very, very infrequently, which actually Planet Fitness defines as a casual user. And so that's why, again, you're targeting this segment. You have a whole lot of people that are going to pay and not show up, unfortunately, but that's just kind of the basis of how the modern day fitness model works. You have a lot of people that don't show up, but they continue to pay their memberships. And so the facilities themselves are able to continue to operate and move forward. And so there's opportunity, folks, from a sales perspective at all segments. So it's just important to know where a prospect lies, or even a current member. If you're looking to upgrade, you're looking to upsell, where are they? Where are they? And uncovering, by asking questions, those needs that your facility can satisfy and meet. So important, folks. And so I want to, and I highlighted this certainly before several weeks ago, the AIDA model. So really quickly, the AIDA model. So you're talking about awareness, interest, desire, and action. And I want to look at this through the lens of sales and sales conversation. And I want to close this episode out by highlighting a few examples of how this actually, one example at Edge Fitness, but with a few kind of components to this, a few kind of landmark events and activities that led to my joining Edge Fitness. And so this is just to give you more of an application of this particular model in action. So when you talk about awareness, and I talked about how marketing, advertising efforts can do the heavy lifting, pardon the pun, the heavy lifting when it comes to generating awareness about whether it's a new facility that's opened up, or perhaps that individual is a brand new exerciser and is just not familiar with any gym. So generating the awareness piece is so critical, but it can also be very expensive because you're talking about advertising, marketing efforts. So that can be very, very expensive. And one thing I've said over the years is, with the amount of money that Planet spends, the largest from a marketing and advertising spend in the industry, they do a lot of heavy lifting for the fitness industry. So I often tell people, be grateful for Planet because they spend a lot of money on advertising in the fitness, obviously targeting, they want people, they want to drive the foot traffic and interest into their own clubs, but they do a lot for the fitness industry overall, because you will have people where there may not be a Planet Fitness for 15 miles and they see an ad on TV and they say, well, you know what, there's another gym that's 3 minutes from my house, or there's one, I live right next to a mall and there's one in the shopping center next to the mall. All right, so this happens on a daily basis. The general fitness awareness of, oh, I need to join a gym. Okay, which one do I need to join? And that's where the sales piece comes in. When they contact the club, when someone from the club contacts them and says, hey, okay, and starts to have those sales conversations. So that is where the opportunity lies. But folks, there's marketing that often leads to that. But it's very, very expensive. So just be mindful of that. And also there are entities that don't have it, but just simply cannot afford marketing in any type of advertising. This is just different industries where they've got a sales force, they have a sales team, and it is their responsibility to generate prospect lists, generate leads, to generate a sales funnel. And so that is the difference between the two. Planet advertises heavily, markets heavily, they don't have salespeople, whereas you have an entity like your Lifetime Fitness, your LA Fitness, those entities are very sales oriented, very aggressive sales cultures. And so that is the difference between the two. Those two are not doing a whole lot of advertising comparable to Planet Fitness. All right, but very different cultures. Okay, sales driven versus marketing driven. And there are other entities that have sales, sales team members. So just highlighting those two as examples of LA Fitness and Lifetime Fitness. So there are plenty more that fall into that category, but in the interest of time, have to keep it moving. So we go back to this AIDA model. So we think about where the salesperson falls in this particular process. So marketing, just say hypothetically, marketing, some marketing efforts, whether it's your own or competitors or Planet, has generated awareness and you're getting some foot traffic. Someone walks into the gym or someone picks up and calls. So the awareness piece, and that's where when you think about where the salesperson comes in. So the sales conversation, salesperson, sales interactions can and should generate interest. Can marketing do that where, yeah, this is a particular club or gym or chain advertises, and oh, okay, that sounds interesting, yes. But in the absence of that, okay, which many entities simply don't have the marketing budget to be able to have national campaigns, like a Planet. So that's why I utilize it as an example so often, because their brand awareness is high. Everyone knows, many people have heard of Planet. And so they're just a very quick example. And they're a good example for things like this. So the interest may be there. So, I saw that gym advertised. So I don't want to, let me go to their website. Let me Google them. Let me call the club. Let me do some research, whatever the case may be. But from a sales perspective, this is, what do you have to offer? What can you tell a prospect that helps to solidify the interest? All right. What can you do to help to solidify the interest? All right, because this is truly, we get to the next phase, the desire phase. This is truly where salespeople shine. This is where salespeople shine, because you can highlight features, you can highlight amenities, the facilities, you can highlight benefits. That this is truly where a salesperson can shine. How do you take someone from being interested in your club to all of a sudden desire? Ooh, it's stronger. It's getting stronger. And when I walk you through my example with Edge, you'll be able to see, again, this real life example. You've seen it unfold before your eyes just to crystallize that. But this is the desire based on the conversations and asking the questions, finding out what the person's needs are. And then you'll be able to say, well, okay, how can I, as a salesperson, tie what my facility, my chain, has to offer to this person's needs? Because that, folks, helps to generate desire. If someone's buying a car, right, what is going to take them from being aware to interested to the desire phase? Like, ooh, it's getting stronger. And certainly, the salesperson is the action phase, getting them to take action. Can we draw up this contract? Can we run the numbers? Can our finance people run the numbers and do the credit check? If someone is buying a car, right? Can you get pre-approval for a loan? Do you have your approval already for a mortgage loan? You want to buy a house? In terms of a gym membership, okay, you have the person signing on the dotted line, a virtual dotted line if they're signing up online, or you have them signing up right there with you in person. All right, but it is so important because there's this interest here where they may call your club, they may look online, they may Google you, they may look at the reviews, like this desire piece. And there's a whole lot of marketing that goes into this because if your website is strong, if your product offerings are strong, if you have a promotional offer, these are all the different things that can help to take a person over the edge, can push a person over the edge. But sales is a huge part of that, because that's why you're there. All right, say a planet doesn't have salespeople. All right, so they expect their marketing to do the heavy lifting, and someone goes in and they've got a very calibrated tour script they're supposed to get. But for most other entities that just don't have the funds to do that type of advertising, they've got salespeople. And this is where the salespeople shine, right here in the desire and in getting people to take the final step of signing up. But you recognize, even looking here at this ADA model, it is a process, right? This takes time. I mean, the person who walks on a car lot may be there for 2 hours or 3 hours if they ultimately decide to buy that car, because there's a process along the way. Where, okay, I want to, saw an ad for whatever model on TV, and I'm, really want to take a look at it. All right, so where does that person? They're already aware. They're already at that interest phase when they walk on the lot. All right. In some cases, people will walk into your facility, foot traffic, organic foot traffic. They've already heard about your facility. They got a friend that's talked about it. Somebody at work has joined the gym now. Now this person is walking inside to see what it's all about. They've heard. Right. So there's a lot that goes into this process, and this process takes time. And I think the challenge is from a sales perspective. A salesperson may think all of this has to happen within the same day with every single person they interact with. And this is where the sales pressure can come in, where it's, I gotta get this person to the action phase. From a sales perspective, yes. Do you want to sell the product? Do you want a person to join the facility? Do you want the person to buy the car? Do you want the person to buy whatever it is someone may be selling, the cell phone plan or a new cell phone, new smartphone? Yes, that's the goal. But it's just a very healthy perspective to have for each and every salesperson, regardless of what he or she is selling, is that everyone is not going to buy today. Right? This can be a process. It is a process. Even if they do buy today, it's a process. Right? Don't try to, a car buying experience may take 2 hours with a nice pace where it's not rushed and pressured. But if a person, instead of taking 2 hours or 3 hours for this car sale, from the time somebody walks on the lot to sign the paperwork and you're scheduling delivery or they're scheduling pickup, and all the deal is done and signed. Right? Instead of taking 2 hours or 3 hours, the person decides they want to do this all in 40 minutes. That's where the pace of the sales conversation, that's when you think about sales conversations you've had. Think about how the pace of the sales conversation can generate and result in this pressure where you feel pressured, you feel rushed. In salespeople, in complaint after complaint after complaint, like I said, I've looked after, you have no idea how many reviews I've reviewed, online reviews and online complaints. And it's just the same thing the same things over and over and over again. And as I stated on that sales culture and ethics, we have a responsibility to make sure that we're operating with integrity. We maintain our credibility, because credibility is so important. Because it can be shattered, reputations can be devastated and shattered so quickly, folks. And I want to, just to pace the timing out of this episode, want to give you the practical example. All right, me and Edge Fitness, and how it relates to this AIM model. And so what I've got here is I've got a pre-COVID Edge in terms of interactions and post-COVID Edge. So I'm going to highlight these and just close this episode out. And so from the awareness phase, so you think about this. Again, this is applied. This is practical. I want you to see this. So from the awareness phase, the first time I heard about Edge Fitness was in a Hometown Life article that appeared here locally on June 7th of 2018. The title of this article is Edge Fitness Gym Plan for Former Kohl's Site in Farmington Hills. Now, this was published by Sharon Dargay in the business section, and Hometown Life is certainly one of our Metro Detroit community newspapers. So they have different, our different suburbs. And so I read that and I thought, oh, wow, okay, new gym coming to town, now. So that was my awareness. First heard about it. And so just me inherently, because of my own fitness journey, I was interested. So that interested piece, again, fitness facilities, general fitness facilities, there's always going to be a natural interest from my perspective. Now, in the average person who may not have, maybe they've all worked out at home their whole lives or their entire fitness journeys, okay, the interest phase in terms of a fitness facility just may not be there for them. But that's where the sales conversations come in. You talk about features, amenities, all of this and that, how that can benefit the person. Translate those features into benefits. So I inherently was interested because, and let me make this additional point, is at that particular point, I said, okay, I'm thinking about it. I was thinking about the next season of my fitness journey. So as a proud, happy member of Planet, would absolutely join Planet again if I had to do it all over again. I had a wonderful experience, learned a lot of good lessons, but I knew, okay, based on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I'm a self-actualizer, and so I'm a very season-oriented self-actualizer. So for me, it's a season. So have I learned? Have I extracted all the benefits of this current season? Now, not just in fitness or facility membership, but that's just how I am in life. Have I learned all the lessons? Have I grown? And so for me, I'm always self-actualizing, and I'm thinking about the season that I'm in and thinking about the next season and how I'm going to continue to learn, grow, and develop. I had a former sales manager, Tim A. I think he moved back to Youngstown, Ohio, but I so remember Tim saying, you don't let grass grow under your feet, and that's very, very true. That's very, very true of me. So I was inherently interested. So I was thinking the next season, okay, so this may be a contender in terms of being my next gym membership, the next gym I belong to. And so since I was already at that interest phase, I attended the grand opening. So I got word that there was a grand opening September 28th, 2019. So I went to the grand opening. So I was already interested, was strong enough to say, okay, let me go to this grand opening, folks, and I'm going to determine, is it going to push me further along on this process? All right. So I went to the grand opening. I posted a picture actually on my Facebook. If you scroll all the way back, you'll be able to see. I took pictures outside of the grand opening. So I had a really good experience. I've been to a number of grand openings here in Metro Detroit because I'm pro fitness. So I just go to support other entities that are opening and doing different things. But as I stated on the previous episode, I went to that grand opening. Why? Thinking, is this gym or this particular chain, are they going to be in my fitness future? Are they going to be in my fitness future? And the answer after going to the grand opening was yes. Yes. So the wonderful cardio, the first thing I looked at, cardio section. That is the most important thing to me, the cardio breadth that is there. They had my favorite machines. And so was already sold. So that pushed me further along, just going to the grand opening. And so that's why creating a grand opening experience, and they had a Detroit Pistons theme, and there was just a lot of energy, and I just remember going in through the doors, and right when they opened and let people in, there was just all of these Edge employees, and there was just so much energy and excitement and enthusiasm. I've never been to a grand opening like that. It was definitely full of energy. And excitement and enthusiasm because the first location, and so there was just a lot of that there. So going to that grand opening pushed me further along. So see, folks, and we can spend time, we can spend hours here in these different phases, or we can spend minutes, we can spend hours, we can spend days, we can spend weeks, we can spend months, we can spend years, pardon me. So push me further along in this desire, okay? And so had a follow-up from sales that following morning, so September 30th, 2019, heard from membership advisor Katie F. So she did a wonderful job. Just a wonderful positive attitude, certainly had a bright future in sales. Followed up with me, continued to follow up with me, did a wonderful job from a sales perspective because she was very persistent and very positive, even in the face of rejection. But then I ultimately explained, hey, because I knew that it was in my future, because once again, folks, the person may not buy today, but for me, it was in my future, but I had to determine first if my current season at the time at Planet was over, and it wasn't. I still had lessons, and it's so true because it ended up, the coronavirus pandemic and the gym shutdown taught me such a powerful marketing lesson. Planet did. So that was a huge lesson that I needed to learn, which I learned last year when the gym shut down. So she did a wonderful job, was very, very understanding, just a very good example of how to handle things in sales. I certainly give her kudos in how she interacted with me in the whole sales conversations and all of that. Did a wonderful job. So I was already right here, but she pointed out different things, and me as a sales trainer, I appreciated her persistence and that follow-up. We're going to talk more about that next week. Just the follow-up piece is so important, because that's how you can get people to ultimately sign up. Now, again, I'm an outlier because I'm thinking, is my current season over, my current gym, all of this and that. So she's very resilient and very positive, but also, those interactions with her, I'm still hanging out here in the desire phase. So folks, this was pre-COVID. So all this has happened. And during this time, while I'm hanging out here in the desire phase, I'm getting the communications from corporate. Time to time, we'll get their emails, all of this and that. So if a prospect, folks, this is so important from a sales perspective. If a person comes into the gym, gets a tour, calls in, is there any way to capture their contact information? That way you can stay in touch with them. Because guess what? Edge stayed in touch with me. All right, I didn't sign up at the grand opening, and that was because, again, that was a reflection of me and I wasn't ready then, and I knew when I went. Okay, is this in my future? I knew that. It was already in my mind. I already knew. All right, so, but if the person doesn't sign up then, how can you capture their information to stay in touch with them? Because they may not be ready today, but they may be ready in the future. And they've done a wonderful job in terms of signing up, wonderful job in terms of staying in touch with me, pardon me. So I'm going to shift here and highlight 4 points. There are certainly more. I can discuss more of this entire process, but I don't have the time. So post-COVID, interactions, communications. So on the 17th of March last year, I've highlighted this before, but Greg DiNatale's webinar, protein performance, that webinar was very, very important to me because, again, I was reading the messages and I saw that he was having this webinar, and I so remember what I was doing that morning. I was in Walmart because it kicked off, and it was 8 a.m. and I was in Walmart shopping, and because I don't have a personal Facebook page, so I literally, and I have to do this from time to time with different, whether somebody's on Facebook Live or whatever, I will go to whatever the entity's Facebook page and find them. So I went and found, the Edge Fitness Clubs, and was watching that literally as I'm walking around Walmart, and I was headed over to 12 Oaks Mall to power walk that day before the gyms closed. So I was literally power walking at the mall, watching him as well after I left Walmart. So that was very pivotal. Why? Because in the fact that they kicked that off with that topic, protein was very, very important, was highly relevant to me at the time, highly relevant. So I'm hanging out here in the desire, and I hear, oh my goodness, a webinar on protein. Yeah, this is going to be great. Because why? I have struggled with protein and having, borderline low protein, and that I received that morning very helpful information. And if you notice down in Rachelle's Home Fitness Center, if you ever watch, okay, I'm facing this way when I'm taping. So if you'll notice right here above my ear, if you look next time I'm down there, you'll see the top of a yogurt container. All right, a light Greek blueberry yogurt container. Because why? That was born, the first time I had yogurt was during the coronavirus pandemic. As after his presentation, I made some positive changes in my life in terms of protein consumption. So that was a highly relevant topic to me. I made some life changes after that. So that was a highly pivotal point. When you think about, again, I look back in hindsight of my joining Edge, that was a piece of the puzzle that was absolutely critical, because that anchored me, that webinar anchored me, and then ultimately, what did I do? So that happened, that webinar happened on March 17th. So really quickly, I forgot to mention this. So last day I worked out was on March 16th. So got that email that afternoon, gyms were closing, the coronavirus shutdown. So shut down, walked at the mall, power walked, said, okay, my plan B is I'm just gonna power walk at 12 Oaks Mall. That's just gonna have to be my routine until I can get back inside the gym when they reopen. So didn't know how long they were gonna be closed, and it was a very long time. So his webinar, so the Friday night decision Friday night decision, and I've talked about this. Long story short. So that Monday night, we back up. So gyms, last time I worked out was on the 16th. So at 7 p.m., Planet Fitness had, okay, we're launching this home work-ins. And so 7 p.m., we're going to kick this off. And so I tuned in and I saw that, and I just was like, because it was targeted towards beginners, which again is predominantly their target market. Totally understand from a marketing perspective. But I saw that, and it was workouts, 20 minutes or less, shoes optional. And it just went over my head like this when I looked at it. And I didn't last more than a minute because, I'm not in that target audience where I saw that, and I lost interest very quickly. That was a pivotal moment also, another pivotal moment. So lost that, and so, okay, plan B, gonna have to work out. Because at that point, after I saw that, like, working out at home is not gonna be an option. I'm not gonna be able to do these home work-ins. So did his webinar the next day. Sorry, this is a little bit out of order, but I wanna make sure all these details are included in this. So did the webinar. That Friday night, was sitting on the couch. I had received, so I power walked that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday morning at 12 Oaks Mall. And so that Friday morning, when I got word that okay, guess what, Rachelle? I'm at the mall that morning, walked that Friday as well. I get a text from a friend of mine saying, did you hear? The malls are closing. So this is going to be the last day you're able to, oh man, you got to be kidding me. So the mall's closed. So that Friday night, I'm sitting on the couch. I so remember this, plus or minus 7 p.m. I'm sitting on the couch. What in the world am I going to do? My plan B, the gyms have closed. That's not going to work. The gyms are shut down. Malls, plan A and plan B are both doomed, all right, at this point. So I'm sitting on my couch. But what did I do? Mentally, I said, well, you know what? That webinar that Greg DiNatale did the other day was really good. Let me go back and see what Edge has had going on this week. So I actually went back to that. I remember I was on my laptop, so I went and Googled and got on their Facebook page again and looked at some of those those instructors for that week because I knew that it was happening. So I looked at those instructors and I was inspired. I remember just going through, and there's 3 that I've highlighted before. There was a lady in Rhode Island who was doing HIIT training like outside on her farm. There was a guy, he was either cardio boxing or cardio kickboxing. He had a remarkable weight loss story and how that all, how he ended up being an instructor. And then the cardio dance. And so, because, I'm a former dancer, and so I remember seeing her like on her living room floor, on the hardwood floor, doing cardio dance. And I was very, very inspired. Very, very inspired by those 3. And I said, you know what? So I looked through those, I was chilling on the couch and I looked through those, was inspired, and said, okay, Rachelle, you're going to have to work out at home. You're going to have to work out. This is going to have to be it. You don't know how long gyms are closed. This is going to be it. So that inspiration, that Saturday morning, March 21st, Rachelle's Home Fitness Center came into existence. So I did my inaugural workout, made things happen at home. And another pivotal point is I'm hanging out here on this desire phase. So I hung that Edge Fitness t-shirt up that I got at the grand opening. They gave those away. I hung that t-shirt up on March 24th. So think about it. Rachelle's Home Fitness Center was founded on the 21st of March. Hung that t-shirt up on the 24th. Very pivotal decision I made to hang that up. Why? Because I would see that downstairs in the early days of Rachelle's Home Fitness Center, and it reminds me even to today, the inspiration that occurred that pivotal week when gyms were shut down and how Edge Fitness was responsible for that inspiration. So that was that. So hung that t-shirt up. So I'm going to fast forward here because I got to close this episode out. So I joined Edge Fitness online on the website this year, January 28th. Joined January 28th. So that was actually 16 months to the day after I stepped foot in the club. So see how long I hung out here? Now again, I'm an outlier because I had to wait for the season to be right and gyms to close and all of this and that. So I knew in September my Planet membership was canceled officially on the 22nd of September. And so I had no gym membership for a few months. So from September 22nd to the 28th of January, I had no gym membership. So it was all Rachelle's Home Fitness Center. And so I took that step. I took that action step on the 28th, 16 months. So, but it proves the point, folks. think about the process that it took for me, and this is yes, I'm an outlier, and yes, my little situation's different, but I understand with clarity and can articulate where I was in each of these phases. That's why I wanted to utilize this as an example, just to highlight to you how it takes time sometimes, but control what you can control. All right, they stayed in touch. I got those weekly messages, and I tuned in during the shutdown. I felt let me say this before I close, after I hung that t-shirt up, with absolute transparency, I'm telling you this, and I'm reading their weekly emails and gaining value and education and all of that, I felt like a virtual member of Edge Fitness. So, but is it any surprise how that's ultimately the gym that I decided to join? But I wanted to point some of these milestones. There are milestones in between these milestones that I could have pointed out, but I can't in the interest of time. But communication, they stayed in touch with me. I was a prospect. I was a hot prospect when I came to as when somebody steps foot inside your club, when somebody calls, demonstrating that interest, all right, that's a hot prospect. All right. So they followed up, they stayed in touch with me, and I never forgot Edge because they have a consistency of communication where it wasn't a once a month newsletter or anything. I mean, they were in touch and remain. That communication piece, like I said, is a strength of theirs and it's a strength of mine. It's a value of mine. So that's why I appreciate it, folks. But I just wanted to highlight this as an example, folks. It's a process. It takes time. There's a lot of different people, like October 27th of last year, got that email from Eric Gordon at Edge Fitness at the club. And so that was another pivotal piece, but there's so much more I could have gotten into. And so there's actually a collection of people that are responsible for my joining, just, whether it's the people in the marketing team, and there's just so many, Greg Natali, there's so many people that have all kind of collectively had a hand in my joining. But this is true with anything we buy, any gym we join, whether you're buying a car or whether you're buying, it's a team effort, it's a collaborative effort, it takes time, there are steps along the way, folks. So I wanted to highlight this sales process and recognizing from a sales perspective, this pace of the sales conversation can result in people feeling pressured or not pressured. And that pressure can drive people away. You will never see them again. You will never hear from them again. But do things deliberately, methodically, with patience, as hard as it can be, particularly for a salesperson that is commission only. But we've got to do what's right. We've got to act with credibility and integrity, folks. So that is all I have for you today. I'm going to discuss more. I'm going to close out this series next week with an episode on the sales mechanics, a couple of other topics. But until then, remember, I cannot wait. I can't wait. I cannot wait. But remember, I am positively passionate about your fitness, leadership, success, and sales.